Number 4. Infinity isn't possible. This is a claim often made by theists who believe in a creator god. This is not a claim relevant to all religions, by the way. Buddhism, for example, would have us believe that there is a beginningless beginning or a cyclic forever reoccurring. But those theists who believe in a creator god invoke this largely to promote the idea that their particular creator god, delete as appropriate, was responsible for the existence of the cosmos, for it could not possibly have come to be without an intelligence behind it. Only they have a problem, and that problem is not only that infinity is possible, but it also has the annoying property of actually showing up in testable theories. This is demonstrated in quantum electrodynamics, which, if I quote John D. Barrow, who by the way was a deist and Professor of Mathematical Sciences at the University of Cambridge, he said it is the best theory in the whole of science. Its predictions are more accurate than anything else that we know about the universe. The calculations always give you an infinite answer plus a finite number. Unfortunately, as is often the case, the difficulty lay in, the difficulty. Infinity is not an easy concept to grasp. You only have to watch the Netflix documentary, A Trip to Infinity, with a host of professional mathematicians, physicists and philosophers, and listen to them. We'll struggle to describe a concept which is difficult to describe. In math, infinity is seen not as impossible, but as a paradox. In fact, infinity became being shown to exist, for example, by Cantor, who showed that many infinities could exist, caused such a huge problem that constructivist mathematics was defined to control how infinities are used. This is why mathematical infinities and physical infinities are usually separated. Because in cosmology, when infinities occur, it's usually seen as a failure of the model, and what is called renormalization must occur. This separation of mathematical infinities, actual infinities being mathematical objects on their own right, is usually what the theist grasps at and woefully misunderstands. To try and separate them into a weird kind of one exists, the mathematical, and one doesn't, the physical. Because for them, they cannot, under any circumstances, allow the possibility of an actual infinity, as this removes the need for the creator god. Fortunately for us intrepid infinity explorers, Professor of Mathematics at the University of Warwick, Ian Stewart, comes to our rescue with a rather simple explanation of the differences. And unfortunately for the theists, it's not as extreme as they would like it to be. He says these occurrences of the infinite could be rephrased in finite terms to avoid various philosophical difficulties. Instead of saying there are infinitely many whole numbers, for instance, we can instead say there is no largest whole number. The second statement avoids explicit mention of the infinite, while being logically equivalent to the first. So, it's not that infinity doesn't appear to exist, it's that infinity can cause paradoxes, which scientists, mathematicians, and philosophers do not like. Hence, why axioms are used, so only a finite number of logical steps can be used. It doesn't mean paradoxes can't exist. It means that we don't allow them to exist logically. We literally define them out of existence. But in cosmology and mathematics, infinities do appear to exist. Or to put a more graphic spin on it for those who insist that this difference between the theoretical and the actual is a huge gap, Julius Robert Oppenheimer was a theoretical physicist. He was famously hopeless at practical experimentation, woefully so. If you think something being theoretical has no application in the real world, I would invite you to stand directly beneath the invention created by the Manhattan Project, of which he was a director as it falls to the ground. The gap between theoretical and actual is not quite as far as those who want to squeeze infinity out of possibility as they would have us believe.